The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us in a hadith over 1400 years ago, لا يأتي زمان إلا الذي بعده شر منه. There doesn't come a time except the time that comes after is worse. And I don't think that needs to be spelled out. As time goes on, that which is considered morally acceptable is shifting. على سبيل المثال, just to give you an example, once upon a time, smoking weed in just about every state in America was illegal. As time moved on, it started being legalized. Right? There are constant discussions as to whether it is good for you or not. But the question that I want you guys to really think about is why it was illegal one day or once upon a time, and then all of a sudden now it's been legalized. Right? Things are just getting worse and worse. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he also said in a hadith narrated by Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, min ashrat as-sa'ah, from the signs of the hour, an yaqil al-ilm, is that knowledge becomes less and less. It begins to diminish, becomes scarce, right? وَيَظْهَرَ الْجَهْلِ, and ignorance becomes extremely prevalent. And again, that's not something that needs to be spelled out. It's a sad reality that we're dealing with. And as time gets, or should I say, the more we live life, the more we get closer to the hour, to the end of times, it's only going to become worse and worse. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us this 1400 years ago, لا يأتي زمان إلا الذي بعده شر منه. There doesn't come a time except that the time that comes after is far worse. Right? Knowledge will become less, as we mentioned in the hadith. Ignorance will become more widespread. Zina, likewise, so prevalent. Right? And murders will increase as well. Again, I don't think that needs to be spelled out. That which we see unraveling, right before our eyes. There's other hadith that I want to share, my brothers and my sisters. On the signs of the hour. Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in another hadith, إن أخوف ما أخاف عليكم عمل قوم لوط. That which I fear the most for you is the actions of the people of Lot. Lot alayhi salatu wasalam, his story is pretty clear and transparent in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of what he came to convey to his people. Of course, the message of Tawheed and eradicating the filth of shirk, while at the same time they dealt with the societal diseases that were out there at the time. Right? Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us over 1400 years ago, that which I fear the most for you, my brothers and my sisters, is the practices of the people of Lot. We spoke about zina, and now we're speaking about homosexual practices. And I just want to make something very, very clear, just in case we have someone here that works for Channel 4, right? I'm not here to incite violence, right? I am not here to incite hatred. I'm a compassionate Imam who spreads peace. And I just quote the haqq, my brothers and my sisters. The truth is becoming blurred. Normative Islam is under attack. Statements such as, this is not a sin, when Allah Azza wa Jal clearly and explicitly mentioned in the Quran what Lot alayhi salatu wasalam came to wage war against. And I'm just quoting again. Abu Taymiyyah does not have his own views and opinions. Sahih. What does that lead to? The truth, my brothers and my sisters, becoming so blurred. Normative Islam being played around with. Up until you will see young kids going into a masjid singing the national anthem. Sahih. And then they are asked about the queen that has passed away. You hear statements such as, the queen deserves to be in the paradise. The queen deserves to be in Jannah. It was all over the BBC brothers and the Channel 4. I'm not making things up. Right? Young boys and girls. What was maybe from the musallamat once upon a time, the things that were clear cut, carved into stone, right, from our beliefs and our morals and values all of a sudden now is being debated, it's being discussed, maybe it needs to be revised, right? It's a sad reality that we are dealing with in the 21st century. The Messenger ﷺ also mentioned another hadith: بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم. Hasten to doing good deeds. The fitan, the trials and the tribulations that you will come across are like the dark patches of the night. What happens, my brothers and my sisters, when you are walking in a forest in the middle of the night, right? Dark patches of the night, it's dark in this forest, sahih, you'll see yourself tripping over. This is what the fitan does to an individual, right? The fitnas, this is what it does to an individual. He'll see himself stumbling over left, right and center. Does that make sense? Messenger ﷺ is telling us, hasten to doing good deeds. The fitna are like the dark patches of the night. يُصْبِحُ الْإِنسَانُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيُمْسِي كَافِرًا. Wakes up in the morning as a mu'min, right? As a believer. And then by the night, he becomes a disbeliever, brothers and sisters. By the night, he becomes a disbeliever. وَيُمْسِي الْإِنسَانُ مُؤْمِنًا وَيُصْبِحُ كَافِرًا. And he might well be, once the night enters, he's a believer, and then by the morning he has disbelieved. يَبِيعُ دِينَهُ بِعَرَضٍ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. He sells his religion for a small offer that equates to this dunya. Right? He sells his religion, my brothers and my sisters, for a small portion of this dunya. You know, I used to look at this hadith and think, how does an individual become a disbeliever so quickly? Right? The Messenger ﷺ told us this 1400 years ago. He becomes a disbeliever so quickly. Right? And then two things actually help me understand and comprehend this hadith better. One of them is the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi, when he said hundreds and hundreds of years ago, al-ma'siyatu baridul kufr. You know the sin that we fall into? It is the first spark to disbelief. When you sin, you don't become a non-Muslim, no. However, what he's saying here is the first spark. One thing leads to another, to another, to another, up until he leaves the fold of Islam. Again, we might take these sins so lightly, think there's nothing much of it, up until we see ourselves shooting out of the religion. Right? And then the second thing that really made it for me, my brothers and my sisters, was, and I think everyone can testify to this, are these social media apps. Right? That we all have access to, that even now toddlers have access to. You have kids as young as 1.5 years of age, they know how to access Umar and Hannah. As young as what? 1.5 years of age, they know how to go on Instagram, they know how to go on YouTube. They don't even know how to scroll, my brothers and my sisters. Please tell me if I'm lying or if I'm wrong. Sahih. They know how to access what grown-ups are able to access. Kids as young as 1.5 years of age, my brothers and my sisters, they also know how to pray. Right? They know how to pray. They'll get up, they'll go into ruku', and then they'll stick their head in the sujood position. They pick a lot up at a very, very young age. Right? Just about everything around us, my brothers and my sisters, is making us desensitized to the filth and the evil that we have been cultivated upon to stay away from. From a very young age, we've been hearing things that are haram, right? But everything around us is just penetrating our hearts, right? It's being shoved down our throats, rubbed on our faces. I don't know about Dewsbury, but you drive into London, even the zebra crossing that is black and white has now become extremely colorful. It's time, my brothers and my sisters, that we took our religion a lot more serious. Don't be surprised tomorrow if your son Muhammad or your daughter Fatima is walking into the house on the 20th of December holding a Christmas tree. Walks in and you're like, Muhammad, what are you doing? And he's like, Dad, what? What's the issue? Should it be surprising? It shouldn't. I'll tell you guys why. If we as a generation is uneducated, what do we expect from the next generation, my brothers and my sisters? Right? I can see there is a lot of young people here. You want to get married tomorrow. And after getting married, my brothers and my sisters, right, you want to have children. That excitement of getting married, khalas, it only lasts for a little bit. Just ask your dad and your mother. Huh? And then you're looking at the next big thing, right? Which is, I want to have kids. Huh? Person who's smart, my brothers and my sisters, he thinks long term about these kind of things. So what does he do about himself right now? He rectifies himself. So when your child comes home now with all of these doubts, you know what some parents do, brothers and sisters? They start beating their children. Or he'll bring the raqi, the guy who reads the ruqya. Oh, my son has a jinn. No, he doesn't have a jinn. He doesn't need someone to read Quran on him. He doesn't have a jinn, brothers and sisters. We just took him to these breeding grounds where he's become so polluted. Right? It's as simple as that. If we don't know, my brothers and my sisters, right, don't expect the next generation to know. Are you brothers and sisters with me? Right. Little do you know that it's all fake, right? Not real. So in it, I want to share the following, because all of you guys are Manchester United fans. Assuming all of you guys support it because it's right next to here. You've all heard of Jesse Lingard, sahih? You guys heard of it? Here it says Nottingham Forest Jesse Lingard. By the way, he left and he went to Nottingham Forest. He says that he turned to alcohol to try and take the pain away. He struggled, sah. Started drinking. As he struggled to deal with his career at Manchester United. You guys heard of Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey is an American/Canadian comedian/actor. You know what he said for all of those who are chasing that paper? I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they've ever dreamed of so that they can see that it's not the answer. All of these YouTubers, and I've said it so many times. Logan Paul, what's the other guy's name? I'm very tired. KSI, Mr. Beast, FouseyTube, Justin Bieber. All of them, brothers, Wallahi, alladhi la ilaha ghayra, and I sent to my little brother. What they all have in common is that they're multi-millionaires and they have the money and they got girls, they got everything, right? That's what we think. All of them said the lives that you see on the screen is very different to what happens behind closed doors. Like I said, my brothers and my sisters, we're living in a time and age where we are in need of young men and women to stand up and feel proud, to call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? To learn about their religion. The cure to all of this, my brothers and my sisters, all of these societal problems, all of these doubts that are being thrown around, is for us to learn our religion. People always ask me, why is it that I keep falling into these sins? But my friend who's a little bit more practicing, right, doesn't fall into the sins the same way I do. I'll tell you guys, my brothers and my sisters, and I was telling some of the youngsters who came to the house when I was with Sheikh Hassan here. Let me give you guys an example. This girl that you're pursuing for marriage, why are you pursuing her for marriage? Because you came to know that Princess Charming has this trait and that quality. She has all of these very good things that you've come to know about her. Sahih? That's what you're going after, right? Not that I'm trying to compare this lady to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when somebody comes up to me and says, Akhi, I feel like I don't love Allah, I don't feel that connection. Why should you feel that connection, right? When you don't know nothing about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our only source of information and knowledge that we have of Allah are His names and attributes. The more you learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Wallahi alladhi la ilaha ghayru, my brothers and my sisters, the more you will begin to love Allah Jalla fi'ula. What does Ar-Razzaq mean? What does Al-Hakim mean? What does Al-Latif mean? Right? I'll give you an example of Al-Hakim. If only a lot of people who are going through trouble and hardship knew the meaning of Al-Hakim. The all-wise, أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. Right? Isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the most wise? Allah tells us in Surah At-Teen. Right? When things start going wrong in our lives, my brothers and my sisters, we are touched with adversities and hardships and difficulties. What do a lot of the non-Muslims do? They'll start drinking. They drink to forget. We do dhikr to remember. Right? This is the ilm, my brothers and my sisters, is going to save us. The more we learn about Allah Jalla fi Ula, the more, my brothers and my sisters, we will have that certainty. Right? We will have that connection with Allah. The love that we will acquire of Allah Jalla fi Ula. Does that make sense? So I'm inviting every single one of you guys to take your religion a lot more seriously. To learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His names and His attributes. Right?